Gun Sports Radio is sponsored by Love Radio Network. Welcome to Gun Sports Radio, all about shooting, hunting, self-defense, and more. Now, here are the hosts of Gun Sports Radio, Dave Stahl and Lance Pelkey.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, broadcasting from deep behind enemy lines, it's Gun Sports Radio, right here on AM 1170. The Answer. I'm Dave. He is Lance. We got Michael Schwartz. We got Hollywood Holyfield in the house from Gun Range San Diego. And speaking of which, we couldn't do this show without him. 7853 Balboa Avenue in San Diego, 92111, 10 to 10, 7 days a week. Go to Gun Range San Diego. You get all the information you need, whether you want to learn how to shoot a gun, maybe you need to brush up on some of your techniques, or maybe you need to get some work done on your guns. Whatever you need, Gun Range San Diego is the Nordstroms of gun ranges. It's just not the price. All right. Hey, before we get going on the show, Gun Sports Radio would like to recognize and honor the many active military personnel who died in service to our country, as Memorial Day is tomorrow. So we want to thank them from the bottom of our hearts, because without them, we wouldn't be sitting here chatting.
There we are.
That's right. So, hey, we got Michael Schwartz in the house. What's kicking, buddy?
Yeah, I got a before we get into what we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about the gun show and the efforts to save the gun show. But I got a text from a volunteer. I don't know if you guys have received this yet, but I've seen them all over the internet. People are receiving texts from volunteers from Gavin Newsom's campaign to be governor. And so I saying, hey, you're going to support Gavin Newsom, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm trying. I've seen other people do it. I'm trying to help start a trend. If you receive one of these texts, write back, for every text I receive regarding Gavin Newsom, I will be donating $10 to the NRA.
I like it.
I like that.
That's awesome.
It is, right? That's the standard. So I wrote that, and it wrote, please text me to confirm you received this so I can send another $10 to the NRA.
Oh, wow.
No message back.
I need to send about $60 to the NRA. Noted. I'll get that done today.
Darn right. Darn right. Wow.
So
how'd the Del-Mar Fairground or Del-Mar Gun Show work?
Yeah, it's I got to tell you, it's getting kind of ridiculous. There's a very small group of people that are trying to get the gun show closed. And, it's not so much about, who's running the gun show or the company or whatever. It's about the fact that they're using this to, portray gun owners as dangerous and bad people. And that's why we have to stand up for this thing. So in less than a week, San Diego County gun owners organized an effort. And we got 3,100 signatures, individual signatures on letters. And Tuesday at their monthly meeting, we delivered all 3,100 letters to the 22nd Agricultural Board, which is the board that oversees the fairgrounds. And boom, it's about a foot and a half. If you haven't seen it, check out the picture on San Diego County Gun Owners Facebook page. But we delivered it's about a foot and a half tall of letters, 3,100. 3,100 letters took us less than a week.
That's awesome.
Less than a week.
And also, too, I mean, that was a heroic effort to be able to get that done. And you also had to sit through that meeting for, 3 hours or 4 hours worth of meetings before you had a chance to finally deliver. But I have to say that all cameras were on you, and that foot and a half stack of not signatures, but actual letters.
Yeah, this was not an online petition where people just kind of clicked, or it wasn't just a petition where people just kind of signed. These were 3,100 letters. Individually signed. They all put their name and what city they lived in. But yeah, it was pretty dramatic. We got a lot of coverage. KUSI and local Fox and a bunch of places were super interested in it. But I thought it was interesting. So we were sitting through that meeting.
Yes.
And they were talking about all the other things that go on at the gun show. And, these anti-gun folks are and frankly, I felt from a couple of the board members, the 22nd Agricultural Board members, we're kind of taking this moral ground, like we need to get rid of the gun show for moral reasons. Well, for 2 hours while we were waiting, they were talking about all the other events at the fairgrounds, which were just drunk fests and gambling on horses.
Well, yeah.
Which, by the way, that's fine. Get drunk and gamble on horses all you want.
Sure.
But then don't try to take the moral high ground.
Exactly.
Really.
Right.
Good
and pretend that a gun show where families and law-abiding citizens show up to, do something constitutionally protected. I mean, come on.
Yeah, the board's dealing with this stuff all the time. So to your point, when the thing started, it was a bunch of back in the 20s, it was a bunch of farmers showing off how big their fruits are and probably a shotgun. And then sometime, the Depression came and it's like, oh my gosh, we need money, so we're going to let gambling in. And so the board sits all the time talking with people about defending gambling and how many horses die every time they have a race. And then you're talking about, last I looked, gambling wasn't an amendment.
Constantly protected.
Yeah,
again, I got nothing against the horse races or the gambling or anything else, but just the moral, soapbox that they were standing on.
Yeah,
well,
it's ridiculous.
Let me bring up something, because I heard this from somebody that I was talking to about, our show, and he says, have you been to the gun show? And I said, to be honest with you, no, I have not. He said, there's hardly any guns there. He said, there's more equipment, and clothing, and instructors. He says,
that's a true story.
It's not like there's millions of guns available. There's just a handful, from what I understand.
The reality is that people are lashing out because our elected officials aren't doing anything to protect kids in schools.
Correct.
And it's my opinion that back in the day when hijackers were ruling the skies, that finally someone stepped up, put a few securities off there, and then it was actually a Republican, believe it or not. I think it was George Bush who spent money to put in the TSA. And have you seen any hijackers? So they have to harden the schools. Get over it. So what I saw, my takeaway from the meeting is that it was a lot of misdirected anger. Yeah. There was one woman who was a teacher, and she was holding up a newspaper from the Torrey Pines High saying these kids are, talking in here about dying every day. They're freaking out. So they're lashing out at the board. They're doing anything they can, in my opinion. And so I think the community needs to do more just to harden the schools. That'll deflect from the gun community quite a bit.
Well, I think you're right, but the core of this, you're absolutely right, totally agree. But there is a core that is leveraging this. They're anti-gun,
right?
They're as anti-gun as the day is long. They have been for years, and they're latching on to these horrible, heinous crimes.
Well, that's what I say. Well, let's take the fight out of them. Let's harden the schools and take that. That'll take that part out,
right? But the gun show has nothing to do with any of these high-profile.
And that's why we have to tell all these people when they're talking that we agree that gun people are anti-violence.
Absolutely.
I mean, the reason why I have a gun is because I want to prevent violence
and protect your family.
And that we have to talk about this because we are anti-violence for the most part. All of us are.
100%.
And so we have to tell folks that I agree that we are anti-violence also, but to direct our anger at an object is ridiculous.
Yeah.
No, at an object, like an SUV or whatever the case may be. So that's kind of the takeaway. I saw the hurt in the room, but I also saw that it was misdirected anger. So, I think the gun community could do a lot more in that sense to, kind of try and diffuse that deal.
So where are we at?
Well, they're gonna talk about it in September. So we have all summer to continue to talk to media and continue to talk to the board and make our point. And then they'll decide in September. I honestly think that I don't know. It could go either way. I'm hearing a lot of people say, they'll never shut down the gun show. That's not true.
Well,
I think
why don't we talk about the elephant in the room? And I mean, the bottom line is, I think the other side did an amazing end run. Digging up the past on Bob and his family and that whole deal. So
so the show, the contracts and everything are signed by the daughter. By the daughter runs the show.
Yes.
So that was just another, red herring.
Sure.
They were trying, hey, look over here, look over here.
It was pretty good.
It was pretty good. It was definitely newsworthy. It was pretty good, but it was also misdirection, and it was in some ways very, very false because the person running the show and doing
taking the show away that doesn't have that many guns in it to begin with. What is it going to? What is it?
Well, even if it does have guns in it, it's all legal stuff.
But what is it going to? What is it going to?
It's not going to.
Right.
It's not going to stop a crime. It's not going to save a life. All they're doing,
if anything, is going to take money out of the Del Mar coffers.
Well,
quite a
sure.
bit, but that
about $500,000.
Yeah,
it's $500,000.
$500,000.
Yeah, $500,000.
Do they realize this? Yes, they do.
Oh, yeah. The board, they realize.
And sitting there during that show, I mean, what was that thing that they were talking about spending like $12 million that they didn't have, and they were going to borrow money but not? I don't think these guys are flush with money, and I think that losing $500,000 would put a big hurt on them.
Well, let me tell you what. When somebody turns around and says, "Excuse me,"
but the other side, money's not important to them. Income's not important to them, and frankly, we're not doing it for money. We're doing it because it's the right thing to do. And them trying to villainize us, and trying to, make us seem evil. That's what we're standing up to. So I don't care who runs the gun show or who's in charge.
We
got to stand up because they're using this as an opportunity to make us look like bad people.
That's right. So let's take a quick break. But hey, guess what? Coming up next, our good buddy John Dillon. I know he's on the other end of the phone, gnawing on the cable. He is going to talk to us about gun laws restricting orders in California. And then, of course, we got Hollywood Zilby's in the house right here on AM 1170, The Answer. Folks, welcome back. You're listening to Gun Sports Radio right here on AM 1170. The Answer brought to you by Trident Gunsmithing, 858-577-0576. Go to TridentGunsmithing.com. If you're a hunter, you need to learn how to, take care of the game that you hunt. They'll teach you how to cook it, clean it, dress it. Plus, they have all the weapons and ammo and all the equipment necessary for you to take the family out hunting. TridentGunsmithing.com, TridentGunsmithing.com. All right, right now we got John Dillon on the line. He is with Gatsky, Dillon, and Balance, LLP. Go to cafirearmslaw.com. He will be more than happy to answer any and all your questions. Don't get yourself in trouble until you've talked to John, especially if it's, related to firearms. 760-431-9501. John will be more than happy to help you out because I tell you, you really got to talk to him before you get yourself into trouble. So, hey, John, what are you up to, bud? What are you going to talk to us about?
Well, how's it going, guys? Today, and I know Mike's going to help me out with this one, but we, a few weeks ago, in the last month, me and Michael sat down with the San Diego City Attorney to discuss gun violence restraining orders and the procedures surrounding them and how they're issued and what policies the police and the city attorney follow when trying to get such restraining orders on people in San Diego. After with the Florida shooting, there's a big push by Miss Elliott to do these gun violence restraining orders, and they actually wrote a couple different articles in San Diego talking about the various examples of the most recent gun violence restraining orders that they got against people, and to kind of show that what they're doing was fantastic and great, and how it will save lives and saves people. So we wanted to sit down with them and discuss them because regardless of the few examples that were given publicly, there's still some big issues when it comes to gun violence restraining orders and due process rights, and the fact that we are quite literally talking about someone being stripped of their property, being searched in their home, and potentially detained based off without any type of conviction. There's no court or anything before any of this happens. So it's a touchy subject when you want to consider the constitutional rights of people, and it's not just the Second Amendment rights.
Hey, John, just for those people who are listening, can you give us just a brief explanation of what happens if, I go out and I put a restraining order on someone? Just give me like a broad stroke.
Yeah, so with gun violence restraining orders, essentially, as the law stands right now, immediate family members or law enforcement can, request a gun violence restraining order when they feel that, a family member, someone they're investigating is a danger to themselves, and they own and possess firearms. And it's a very broad way of classifying things, and there's all sorts of scenarios that can come up. But essentially, if a family member's heard you talking about how you're kind of depressed because your mother or your father died, and you recently purchased a gun, technically that could allow for a gun violence restraining order to be issued, in which it would be done without your knowledge, and the police would show up to your door and let you know that this order has been issued and that they can take your firearm away from you for your safety, of course, and then you have to go into court subsequently and prove that you're not a danger in order to get your property back.
So you're guilty before proven innocent.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a bad day, and I speak, not literal, but it's like, man, I just don't even know how I'm going to make it through this week.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike over here says, man, I'd rather say something than see something bad happen. And the next thing I know, the law comes up, and they're like, yeah, we heard you might be a danger to yourself. So without any judicial process or anything like that, we're going to make sure you don't have any guns in your house anymore.
And all your guns are gone.
Right.
Wow.
Is that how it works? Or my cousin or my sister or my mom, my dad?
It pretty much, yeah. Right now, it has to be family, and this was by the way, the city attorney actually invited us in to talk about this.
They were very welcoming with us, and we did sit down with them for a good long meeting, and they were very willing to talk with us about it. So we have to give them their due credit on that.
But we have to. I got to tell you, it was there's some serious concerns.
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest things that I think Michael will agree with me on is, when we expressed our, concern with, the abuse and, the overuse even of these orders, one of the big reasons they said, oh, don't worry about, there won't be any abuse is that, we just don't have the budget for it.
Yeah. Did you hear that? So we said, well, what are you guys doing to make sure that this isn't going to get abused? And the city attorney actually said, "Well, I don't have the budget to do that.
Like this many people on this issue, and so they don't have enough money to do it as much as they probably would. It shouldn't make anyone feel better. I don't think.
Yeah, we told her right then and there. That doesn't really make us feel any better. That you just simply don't have the budget to abuse people.
Jeez, but if you have a budget, we're in serious trouble.
Yeah.
Is that what you're telling me? Oh, my.
Mm-hmm.
But the big thing about this was, she gave a bunch of examples in her op-ed talking about these gun violence restraining orders, and we went through and showed, hey, wait, in every single scenario, there's already a law that was broken. So if there's already a law that's broken, and they're doing something. You could
have arrested that person then and there and actually confiscated a firearm based off of that arrest.
Right. So what was it? We kept, the end of the meeting was, explain to us what hole is being filled here. Why do we need a gun violence restraining order? And John, I don't know, how you felt, but, I didn't feel like they really had a good answer for that at all.
Well, I'll tell you, when we first pressed them on it didn't seem like they had an answer at all. And then we kept talking and bringing up, certain examples and ideas and just kind of trying to figure it out just through discussion. And, it almost seemed to me that through our discussion with them that they figured out, like, the best reason why, or they have for doing these gun violence restraining orders, which was, once someone, in general, if someone's ever arrested and for some type of crime, and firearms confiscated based off that arrest, and let's say they post bail, and so they're back home and they're waiting on their court date, city attorney's office stated that in that time of being like out of jail, waiting for your court date, they don't want someone to go out and buy a firearm and then hurt someone. And, I believe Michael's looked in this. I have never heard of this happening, but,
Nope, not one time.
Don't know of a case of when someone was arrested for a crime, posted bail, went to a gun shop, passed a background check, did a 10-day wait, put through all their proofs of identification, everything like that, picked up their gun, and then used it in a crime subsequently. So it's to say that they're, reasoning for doing these gun violence restraining orders as opposed to just a general arrest and, traditional due process is so small and insignificant. It's pointless.
Yeah, they made it sound like they make it sound like when they talk about these gun violence restraining orders this is the only way that we can take firearms away from dangerous or mentally unfit people. But that's simply not true. And then when we sat down and talked to them, we pointed out, hey, wait, law enforcement already has plenty of ways to do this. What's the purpose of the gun violence restraining order? And the only thing they could come up with was, well, if somebody's arrested and they post bail, and we take all their guns away and they post bail, they can get out of jail, go buy a gun, pass the background check, wait 10 days, and then use that gun. So they wanted someone to be a prohibited person while they were waiting to go to court. And technically, that's correct. They in theory could possibly do that. But on all the research that we've spent, that I've spent, I can't even find a single time that anyone's bought a gun after being arrested and all their firearms were taken away, legally used it or illegally used it. I mean, it's total disconnect, and I think it's the fact that they don't have that was the other thing, John, that surprised me. They have no written procedure at all. On this.
Not at all.
Nothing in writing at all. They kept telling us, well, this is what we do, this is what we do. Great, let's see it in writing.
There's no situations in which they, under these circumstances, a gun violence restraining order would be appropriate. Under these circumstances, a gun violence restraining order would not be appropriate. I mean, these are basic guidelines. Like, you need to inform law enforcement that, this gun violence restraining order isn't just going to be the default fallback provision and action that all law enforcement is going to take in any situation where there's something questionable going on, much like what the 5150 danger to yourself or others is used currently. Nowadays, if law enforcement finds someone drunk, they just take them to the hospital and on a 5150 hold and declare that they're a danger to themselves or others based off a mental disorder.
Yeah, and I want to be clear too. Conceptually, the idea of making sure that people that have committed a crime, they're dangerous or they're mentally unfit. Yeah, we want to make sure that they get the help they need or they're incarcerated, and then they don't have access to firearms. Like yeah, absolutely. But this gun violence restraining order, the way that she's implementing it, is wide open for abuse. It's zero forethought. It looks to be like it's total, propaganda mixed with a lack of any kind of commitment or budget or anything to make sure this thing goes right. And so, John,
oversight.
No oversight. I think this thing's pretty bad, John. What do you think? What's your final takeaway from this?
My final take is ever since I've heard of this idea, I've been completely against it. It's just they're not right. We have basic principles of law in this country, and these are ways that people are trying to get around due process rights just to make their job easier, so they don't have to put in the effort to get that conviction or get that lawful arrest. They just do these other things for the public good and the public safety while ignoring, the rights of individuals. Because no matter who you are, if you're in this country and you're a citizen of this country, you have rights, and they apply to everyone, whether you committed a crime or not, to be honest. And I think they're atrocious, and they're not going to be done right. And we're going to be doing a little bit of research into the gun violence restraining orders that have already happened, because I'll tell you, the examples that have been given to the public were the best examples they could find. I'm going to tell you right now, there's ones that do not fit the criteria but still were issued.
Wow. All right, buddy. Hey, well, thank you very much. As always, folks, if you need to get a hold of John, you can contact him at 760-431-9501 or go to cafirearmslaw.com. That's www.cafirearmslaw.com. Let John help you out of your sticky wicket. Right here on AM 1170, The Answer. Hey, welcome back. You're listening to Gun Sports Radio right here on AM 1170. Hey, do you or any of your family members trying to get a CCW? Good. Well, if any of your family members keep firearms or other weapons for personal protection, well, guess what? What happens? What are you going to do if you get involved in a situation where all of a sudden they're trying to take away your guns? What are you going to do? Well, let me tell you what. Do what we do here at Gun Sports Radio. Go to Firearms Legal Protection. For less than $10 a month, you will have peace of mind knowing a 24-hour hotline and legal representation is sitting there waiting for your call. For you and your family. That's right, you and your family. That's Firearms Legal Protection at www.firearmslegal.com. You can call them at 469-310-9100. or go to firearmslegal.com. This is a call you need to make. $10 a month? Come on, you can handle that. Okie dokie. Hey, by the way, this segment's brought to you by Gun Range San Diego, 7853 Balboa Avenue in lovely San Diego. 10 to 10, 7 days a week. Gun Range San Diego, the Nordstroms of gun ranges, just not the price. You're going to have to sit here and listen to Joe Hollywood Holyfield, and I don't know what he's got. What do you got today, Sunshine?
Well, I'll tell you, first thing I want to do is say, talk about how important the firearmlegal.com is because, heaven forbid, you do you do everything right. You take all the training. You follow all the rules. You jump through all the hoops. And the worst thing that you could ever imagine happens and somebody breaks into your home, somebody grabs your kid, somebody does something, and you have to put your finger on that trigger. These are the guys that are going to be there on the aftermath of that. And so that's very, very important. So I'm so glad that they're a sponsor.
True story.
I'm a member.
Right.
Everybody else here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, all of us.
So what's going down at Nordstrom's?
Well, I'll tell you, the 9mm sale is back on. We finally found another distributor to give us some ammo at a decent price, so you can still come down there and get that 1,000 rounds of 9mm for $200.
That's fabulous.
It's just as cheap as you can get it on any online store. So, now that the legislature's up there in Sacramento are holding us back and not letting us do our ammo sales online, guess what? You come down to Gun Range San Diego, you get it same price as you get it online.
It's worth the drive.
It's worth the drive, and 1,000 rounds of 9mm for $200. And we're coming up toward the end of May here, and there's a couple of factory incentives that are out there that end on May 31st. So you got one more week to come down and get these taken care of, and I'm going to get these out before we forget. Number one, Daniel Defense. At Gun Range San Diego, all Daniel Defense firearms are $350 off. $350 off. So basically, we're giving you about $14 to take these things home.
Wow.
And if you buy a Daniel Defense rifle before May 31st, send in your receipt. They will send you a free Vortex optic, the Spark AR red dot optic.
Nice.
For free. It's about a $290 retail value. So with our $350, their $290, you're looking at almost a $600 or $700 value this thing going on. So it's really awesome. $650, $640 on value on buying a Daniel Defense. And then Springfield Armory still has their deal until May 31st, where if you buy a M1A, any M1 style rifle, the Scout Squad, the SOCOM 16, the standard M1A, whichever one you buy it before May 31st. Send them your receipt, and they're going to send you 3 free magazines on top of your purchase. So that's another $120 that you get for free. So, and they're $100 off at Gun Range San Diego. So as long as they're running their promotion, we're running our promotion. So we want to get that out because we are right here at the end of May. And here's what else happens at the end of May. It started back in about, a whole, 200 years ago, back in the late 1800s. It started off as Decoration Day. I don't know if you know this or not. But Memorial Day used to be called Decoration Day. And what they would do is, the Civil War cost more lives for our citizens than any other war we've ever been in since. It was a war amongst ourselves. And not long after that, they started Decoration Day. And basically what they would do is the people in different communities would go out and decorate the graves of fallen soldiers, north and south, and put flags and pins and whatever on their gravestones and Decoration Day. Because after the Civil War, there were little grave sites everywhere. And because there were so many fallen soldiers, and people just didn't have the money, that's when it became the national cemeteries came about because of the Civil War, because there were so many people to bury. So that's how national cemeteries came to be. So these families would go out to these national cemeteries or these little plots where the communities would do it for the soldiers north and south to pay their respects. And that went on and on and on. And then
that's the origin of
Memorial Day.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was called Decoration Day. It was called Decoration Day for about 100 years. And Waterloo, New York, was the first there's Rochester, Wisconsin, who had the first parade, so they say they are the first ones that came up Memorial Day, and then there's a place in Pennsylvania who say no, we had our celebration before, but there was no parade, so they came out with it. But Waterloo, New York is credited from the government with having the first Memorial Day because they declared a day when they closed every business in town shut down. They closed all the doors.
Wow.
Nothing was open. And
I'm on Team Wisconsin.
I know you are. And so they closed everything down. And then in 1968, it was actually part of like the Civil Rights deal where they made Decoration Day a federal holiday. And it was called the Monday of Holidays, the Monday Holiday Bill or something like that. Basically, the federal government wanted a 3-day weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's the last Monday in May, and that's now Memorial Day. And that's in 1971 is just like a lot of the bills we see today where they're signed in law one day, but they don't get enacted until a later date.
Mm-hmm.
In 1971, it was enacted, and that's how we get Memorial Day.
I'll be darned. That's good. I never knew that.
That was good information. Yeah. Nice.
There you go. Well, this is kind of a prelude to, we like to come on, Gun Range San Diego likes to come on, and we will give our hash, / my opinion on a lot of the events that are happening on the rest of the segments. But what we're going to start doing is trying to get something a little more formatted so that we're going to give some more technical information.
Organized?
I know it's weird.
You organized?
Well, not me.
Oh,
Lance is holding me to the fire. He's beating me. He's beating me about the head and shoulders.
Excuse me. Let me get my video thing working here. I got to see this.
Well, it wasn't too long ago we had that really good conversation about 6.5 Creedmoor.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we've had a lot of positive response to
I
that.
like technical stuff.
A lot of good feedback. A lot of, I think you guys have it on your website and everything was on the YouTube. So we've had a lot of positive feedback on that segment. So what we're going to try to do is give some more technical, quantifiable information on things like that.
The one we did with 30-06?
Like we did with 30-06.
You would not believe how many people said, I had no idea. Or they had their own idea.
Right, exactly. They're like, well, I thought this. My grandpa taught me that, but now I know how it really is. So that's what we're going to do. And I think what we're going to talk about next week is we're going to talk about barrel twist. So depending on if you get a
barrel twist.
Barrel twist.
Who wants to buy a gun with a barrel that's twisted?
Well,
you might want to listen.
You might want to listen up next week on why your barrel twist is important.
Admittedly, that's something I
don't have a clue.
I have tried to I've tried to get into and understand, and just finally bailed every time. I said, I'll just whatever.
Whatever comes, that's how it is.
Just put the bullet in there and shoot it. That's all you care about.
Well, more often than not, that's all you need to do.
It's enormously important.
Yeah. But and then the people who are making the barrels are doing the right thing more often than not. But we'll go over it next week and talk to you about what to look for, what's important, and what to look out for. What to be careful, because what a lot of people don't know is the difference between an M16 and an M4 is 6 inches of barrel length. So what a lot of people did, they had all these surplus M16 barrels, but M4s are popular, right? So they have all these 20-inch barrels, but everybody wants a 14-inch
so they're cutting
16-inch barrel, so they're cutting them off. Well, the barrel, the twist rate should be different.
So don't go any farther.
So make sure you listen up next week.
A twist for next week.
That is a twist for next week.
By the way, since our conversation about 6.5 Creedmoor, I saw an article. I think I sent it to you.
Yeah, you did.
An article about the Special Operations Command is looking at adopting 6.5 Creedmoor as their standard sniper round. So
right. Well, right now, I know when like when I was with Marine Corps Security Forces, our what's called the DM, designated marksman or enhanced marksman, we shot a 308, and then that was kind of like the round for everyone. And then some of the SEAL teams, because they have a lot more money, especially after 9/11, some of these guys started developing their own deal, and they all went to the 300 Win Mag because it is without a doubt, hands down, a better round than the 308 for long distance shooting. And then they said, well, we've got all these surplus barrels and things like this, and with the chambers already in 30-06. And 30-06, the ballistics on a 30-06 today, the way the bullets are made, are way better than they were in 1903. You know,
no doubt.
Exactly. So some people say, well, we're just going to shoot the 30-06. So you got the 7.62 by 31, the 7.62 by 39, the 7.62 by 51, the 7.62 by 63, and the 7.62 by 66. So you have all these different rounds that are going out there. So I think what they're doing is trying to get the 6.5 Creedmoor to wipe all those things out, just like the M14 did after World War II to take over all those.
Well, there you go. And my question was, hey, is this thing going to be around? Well, I think that's a big indicator. It's going to be around.
It's going to be around. It's
time.
absolutely going to be around. And if it gets adopted by the military, then it will definitely, you're going to see it in a lot more. I mean, there's plenty of applications out there now, but you'll see it in a lot more applications in the not-so-distant future.
All right. Hey, folks, we're going to take one more break. When we come back, we've got a special guest on the line as we speak right here on Gun Sports Radio, AM
That's
1170.
My buddy over there.
That's Lee, Gunfighter.
The answer. That's right. I wasn't going to tell him. I was going to wait for people to go on. Hang in there. All right. Break. Stay tuned. Folks, hey, welcome. You're listening to Gun Sports Radio right here on AM 1170, The Answer. Hey, do you or any of your family members keep a firearm or other weapons for personal protection? Do you have or are you going to get a CCW? Well, guess what? If you get involved in an incident, what is your plan to pay for bail and the expensive lawyers that are out there? Talk to the good folks at Firearms Legal Protection for less than $10 a month. You'll have peace of mind knowing a 24-hour hotline and legal representation is waiting for you and your family. That's Firearms Legal Protection, www.firearmslegal.com. Call them, 469-3310-9100, or just go to firearmslegal.com. Make sure you tell them Dave, Michael, Lance, and Hollywood sent you. Hey, we got a special guest on the line. We got Lee from Gunfighter Tactical. Hey, Lee, how's it going, buddy?
How's it going, guys? How's your Sunday?
Rocking, man. We're on radio. How bad could it be?
Fair enough.
So Lee joins us today to talk about what he was doing a week ago, which was helping to organize and participate in the second annual 3-gun, local shop 3-gun?
Yeah, basically. I don't know if it was second annual quite yet, but let's call it that.
Yeah. And so tell us what you did. Tell us about the event.
So what I wanted to do is everyone always thinks I'm part of one gun shop and all of the gun shops, but everyone thinks we're like rivals. Everyone thinks we're like, oh, I talked to a guy from Parallax and you're not allowed to blow that. I talked to a guy from this shop. And that's not true. We're all in this together. We're all in the same fight. So what I wanted to do is get us all together, have a friendly, fun competition that all the shops can compete against each other just for fun, just for bragging rights, and then pass around a trophy like the Stanley Cup and have everyone sign it when their time comes up to win it. And, it creates camaraderie in the industry, and it makes just San Diego fun. And, it's so rare that the employees get to take part in stuff because we're always working, but it's kind of cool to have just the employees, and then you get to know each other. And, when I call over to another store, I go, hey, remember when I whooped you the other day? Hey, do you have this ammo in stock for this guy?
Now, talk about the actual competition. What the competition was, a 3-gun competition, or what were the particulars of the actual event?
Yeah, so we call it combat 3-gun because it's not your typical 3-gun. It's not particularly race ready mindset. It's combat mindset. So you got to do it with your 3 typical 3-guns: the shotgun, rifle, and pistol. And then the combat part is we include plate carrier with plates. So it's training how real life would be. And then we set up scenarios that are very real world driven. Like one of the scenarios we started as a driver's seat in a Suburban, and you had to shoot out the window, not literally shoot out the window, but shoot through the window.
Yeah.
Shoot through an open window. Yeah, shoot through an open window. Shooting out the window will come, that'll be much more expensive. But so you shoot out the open window, get out, move around the car, engage the targets as you see them, and it's more of a combat mindset. And it's so much fun that everyone that we invited this time around, even if they didn't win, even if they didn't place real high, they all left giant smiles on their face and were really, really, really stoked to be there.
That's cool. And San Diego County Gun Owners was there to film it, and we actually have 3 videos up on our YouTube site. If you go to our website, SanDiegoCountyGunOwners.com, you can see our YouTube channel, and you can see the 3 videos with a lot of really, really cool shooting. And then also Gunfighter Tactical, you guys have it up on your Facebook page, so check them out on Gunfighter Tactical's Facebook page. So how many people participated? How many shops, actually? Which shops participated?
So this time around, we had 4 shops. I wanted to get a 5th, but I couldn't get a final commitment from some guys. So we had Gunfighter Tactical, us. We had RDL and SDCGO.
Wait a minute. Joe's pointing at himself when you said that.
Yeah, that was me.
I'm going to rat him out on air right here.
That's totally me.
So some shops.
Because I'm trying to be a nice guy about it, but that may or may not have been the second time they flaked on us.
Oh,
Mayor, I can neither confirm nor deny that fact.
Yeah.
So Gunfighter Tactical put it together, Lee, and then there was Gunfighter Tactical, and what were the other shops?
We had RDL up in Escondido. We had Ammo Brothers, just 2 blocks from us, and then we had the Glock store.
Nice.
And each team had 5 people, so we had 20 competitors, and we had 5 stages, and so we could revolve around the stages pretty quickly, and it was a blast, man. It was so much fun.
So you know what you ought to do, being the marketer that I am, each one of you guys that are going to be in this competition should raise money, and we'll donate it to a charity, a big charity of some kind.
That's a really good idea.
That is a great idea, and I had no intention of thinking of that, so I'm glad you did.
That's why I'm the marketer. You need to get me in that meeting.
Yeah. San Diego County Gun Owners, that's a pretty good charity.
No, we're not giving it San Diego County Gun Owners.
Now, what do you guys have a trophy already, or what's going on there?
Yeah, we actually have a trophy that I made in my garage. It's my son picked out the gun from the 99-cent store, and I spray painted it gold, and glued it to some glued it to some wood, and it's awesome because the back of it is plain, and you can sign like, hey. So I put Gunfighter Tactical, and I put the date of the competition we won, and it's hanging very, very proudly in our store right now. But
wait. Did you guys win? We got ahead of ourselves. Who won?
Gunfighter Tactical.
Yes, we did.
Nice, congratulations.
Makes the trophy, wins the trophy. Yeah. I like that.
Honestly, when I was making it, I was like, I better make this good, because if it's hanging in our shop, I don't want it to be janky.
Yeah.
But it's fun. Like the letters on the trophy are like little sticky foam letters that we picked out. My son and I picked out at Michael's. And when I say my son, remember, he's 2 years old, so he's like just pointing and grabbing.
Oh, he knows more about that stuff than you do.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I like this competition idea. I think it's a good way to get the shops together.
Did you see the video?
No, I haven't seen it.
You got to check out the video. It's very, very cool.
Is it on your website?
Yeah, it's on our website.
What
on
website
our YouTube
is
channel? San Diego County GunOwners.com. In the upper right-hand corner, you click on the little YouTube icon, and boom, takes you right to the channel. And then we have 3 videos, but it's very, very cool. What if San Diego County Gun Owners sponsors like a huge cup where we could add engraved names,
like the Indy 500?
Yeah, could we do that next year maybe, or should we talk?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Someone even brought up like the Stanley Cup, how it just gets passed around.
Yeah, that's what we're thinking.
You take the pictures, every year whoever wins it takes the pictures with the trophy, and we can do the same thing. I want it to be fun. I don't want it to get too serious. It's all designed to have fun.
Hey, now, can a radio show join in? I mean, we don't own guns or ammos or a shop.
Why don't we have Dave sponsor the Suburban?
What Suburban?
That they shoot at.
No, I don't want them shooting no Suburban. But no, I mean, because see, I've got 3 ringers right here that could go and compete. I got 3 guys. I got Mike, Lance, and Joe.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
What Joe may or may not be attached to a team that may or may not show up. So that.
Oh, that's right. But if you hold it right next door to the high dive, it won't be a problem, because he'll just come out the door and make the hard right, and he can do whatever he has to do. I like that idea. I really do. But I think a charity would be, because, let's face it. There's enough of them out there that could use the help, and it would be fun.
Did everybody bring their own? Did everybody bring their own bat? Did everybody bring their own? You know what I mean, like their own AR or their own rifle or whatever? How was that? Yeah. How did all that work?
So everyone brought their own gear. The only thing that was probably a little short was the plates and plate carriers. But you only have to be wearing it when you shoot the stage. So there was a lot of passing off, going back and forth, which is totally okay. as long as they shoot the stage with it,
it smelled so good. I'm sure at the end of the day.
Did you have to tech everybody's weapons?
What do you mean tech?
Well, we're watching NASCAR here. We figured, you had to go through tech, making sure you pass.
No. There's no checking or trigger pulls or anything like that. As long as you're safe, you're good.
Or a limited magazine, 10-round magazine.
That was kind of the thing. We did 10-round magazines. Just because a store has a high capacity magazine permit or a standard capacity magazine permit doesn't mean that, their employees are allowed to use them or whatnot. Right. So we did 10 rounds across the board just to make it fair, because if one guy shows up with a 30-round mag and one guy shows up with a 10-round mag and has to do 2 reloads to shoot the same stage, this is not fair. So we played the game, so we did 10 across the board, and we're not doing classes. We're not doing, carry optics. We're not doing this, that. We're having fun. So if you want to be that guy that shows up with a red dot on every gun and 3 in your helmet and 2 in your pocket, cool. That's fine.
That's fine. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when are you going to do the next one?
So the venue is really awesome. And they have every quarter, they have a slot that we could fill if we want to. So, if we want to do it, we were thinking maybe do 1 big one a year and then 3 bracket ones. If we can get enough shops on board,
qualifiers.
Exactly. It doesn't have to be the same shops competing every time. So if we can do enough of them that we get 3 solid ones and then a main big one that has like the final 4 or the final 5, that way. And this is what's really cool too is, we were able to get some of the companies that we work closely with. Like I have a lot of the name brand reps like in my phone, like they're friends of mine. So I told them, I was like, hey, this is for gun shops. This is for us. This is for employees. And they said, we gotcha. So they kicked down a few things for us. Vortex was very generous and got us a scope and a red dot to give. And it's really unique because usually when we get free stuff, we have to give it off to the customers, and that's what we're there for, is just to be the intermediary. But this was like we got to win it for once, so that was kind of cool.
Wow. All right, buddy. Hey, well, thanks a lot. Give your website out one time.
Yeah, gunfightertactical.com. And then always check us on Facebook and Instagram.
All right, buddy. One more question?
No, I just wanted to say we appreciate coming on and talking about it, Lee. And just to reiterate what you said earlier, everybody thinks that all these gun shops around here are trying to dog each other out, but we're really a big family, and we really support one another, and just,
It's part of San Diego. There's something about San Diego because a lot of businesses, car dealerships are the same way. We all work together.
You got it.
You go to L.A., it's ugly. Hey, folks, we want to thank our sponsors, Gun Range San Diego, CAFirearmsLaw.com with John Dillon, FirearmsLegal.com, Trident Gunsmithing, and, hey, we'd like you to jump on to info at Gun Sports Radio. Check out our website. Tune in next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Right here on AM 1170. The Answer.
There we go.
Gun Sports Radio is sponsored by Love Radio Network.